It's chilly.
Alright, cool. Let's open.
Wow. Still looks the same.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
On a brisk day near the end of winter, Murph and I found ourselves in Tryon, North Carolina, with plans to tour the birth home of legendary singer, songwriter, composer, and all-around musical prodigy Nina Simone. A local historic preservation group had managed to preserve the home, and Murph arranged for us to get a private tour. We were initially planning on doing a short film walking through the home and talking a little bit about Nina's legacy as a musician and her early life here in Tryon, North Carolina. However, as fate would have it, we were in for a bit of a surprise on that cool March morning.
Hey, how's it going? Hello. It's good. Nice to meet you, Frederick. Hello, Frederick.
How you doing, Kyle?
Hello, Kyle.
Yeah, and you're Sam.
Samuel.
Samuel, okay. Yeah. Good stuff, good stuff.
Nina's brother and musical counterpart, Samuel Waymon, happened to be in town, and he agreed to talk with us and share about his life growing up in Tryon, his sister Nina, their family, and their experiences in the music industry. This episode is going to be a long one, but if you're even the slightest bit interested in musical history, you'll want to get comfortable and settle in, because it's not every day we get a private interview with a musical legend. I'm Kyle, and you're watching Hometown Chronicles USA.
The old pipe organ from, as you know.
Yeah.
That's how we learned how to play, with the pump action and
Yeah. Multifaceted.
Yeah, and the sewing machine. That's how I learned how to sew. My father taught me how to sew. My mother taught us how to sew. He owned a dry cleaning business, as you know.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's good, man.
Memories.
Absolutely. So mind if we walk inside?
Oh, yes.
All right. So you said that you played the piano. Give us a rundown, brother.
Oh no. This is an organ.
Organ. I'm sorry. Yes.
That's
organ.
That's how you play it. You
Yeah.
play these like that, right and left, and you pull these knobs out to get different sounds. It's only 60-something keys here, as opposed to 88, which the piano has. So that's the period of that time. I think late 1800s. That's when this is built.
Wow.
But there it is.
And you played.
That's how I got the first sound of an organ. Was on this little sucker.
And what was that like for you? Like when you sonically, like when you started delving deeper into music, which obviously is a gift. And I mean, how was that for you? Was that like, this is it for me for the rest of my life? I know this is what I want to do.
Well, I started playing when I was 3 years old.
Yeah.
So my mother said that I was born. Next thing I know, I called up to a piano and started playing. How can you embrace that? How can a 3-year-old understand that?
Yeah.
I still don't. I just know that it's a gift of some type. So Nina and I both were playing at 3 years old. We both took lessons from Mrs. Mazzy, the German lady. The idea that I could play, there's no, for my maturity at that age, you don't quite comprehend the seriousness of it. All you know is that you can do something.
Right.
And that's all I knew. I didn't give it any intellectualization.
Yeah.
You know, and now that I'm mature, when I look back on it, all I knew is that I could do something.
Yeah.
And when I heard it, since you asked about sound, the fact that I could hear something, then go to a piano and replicate that sound was fun. It was powerful. It's hard to know words in a young mind to explain that. True. Except, hey, Daddy, Mommy, look, watch this. I can do this, do that. You know, and you do that.
Yeah.
And it becomes a satisfying accomplishment, actually.
Most definitely.
Yes. It's like playing, like when I first learned how to ride a bicycle. It's like when you first learn how to ride a bicycle, for example, it's the thrill of your life.
Yeah.
Because you always thought that it was impossible. It looked so complicated. And now you are accomplishing that skill.
Yeah.
That's a great, great feeling.
Yeah. And and now, you know, when you hear the term, well, it's as easy as riding a bike, right? And so it's like, there's this thought that it's just innateness that's just supposed to be able to happen when you pick up a bike and go, right? Like you should never forget it.
And you don't. And that's, as a matter of fact, the fact that you just said that, that's always something that I say to people when I meet musicians who say, if I say to them, are you still playing? They say, oh, no, I gave that up years ago. I don't know how to do it. And then I say, no.
Yeah.
If you learn how to ride a bicycle,
Yeah.
you never forget.
You had to play.
You might be a little clumsy,
Yeah.
but you don't forget the technology. You don't forget
Yeah.
the technical things. And the same thing with music. So and that's always been ever since. I mean, I teach music now. I teach voice, I teach piano, and I teach breathing, how to sing, etc. So those things have just gotten better over the years. I've adopted the fact that I've embraced the fact that I have something inside my head resonates different than maybe the average person does.
Sure.
And when it comes to, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't give it any no egotistical approach to it. It's just something that I realized that I had to embrace, and it drives me nuts. Because
so you tried to turn it off at various times of your life, or
no? It just, if I were to say to you something like, I get tired of being an adult all the time, or you get tired of being so mature about everything, that gets exhausting after a while. Because the thing that I love about being a child is this innocence. It's just totally at the mercy of knowledge.
Sure.
And it doesn't know how to tune anything out. It just absorbs. So, but when you in a position where you have, because I can relate to it in both cases. When I'm young, I didn't understand the maturity of it. So as I've gotten older, I do understand it. And I realize that there's a gray zone in there. There's a gray area in there.
Have you embraced that? The gray area?
Because
some people, it's either...
I do, and I do embrace it, but what I've decided to do is to explore it.
Okay, beautiful.
I like to check. It's a journey.
Yeah.
I never stop wondering. I have a sense of curiosity about everything. The wonderment of music is just endless for me.
So speaking of that, we're obviously in a house where you had some siblings born.
Well,
right? Is that correct? Some of them were here.
Some of us were here. Some of us were elsewhere.
Okay. Now, was everyone musically inclined?
Yes.
Everyone. Give us a rundown.
4 brothers. Okay, they had 8 children.
Right.
All 8 of us played the piano. All 8 of us sang.
Okay.
My father was a hunky-tonk piano player.
Okay.
My mother was a vaudeville high-stepping kicking lady before she became an ordained minister.
Okay.
And she plays the piano. So 8 plus 2, that's 11.
Yeah.
Not 10. All of us play.
And how many lived in this house?
Nina, Eunice. I have to call her Eunice. Yes. I don't call her Nina all the time. I'm the only one that can call her. But Eunice. I think, because we had the other house over on the other side of Tryon.
Okay, so there's another. So you all lived in another home.
There's another house.
Okay.
But the outhouse, we just had an outhouse too. So we have both houses. 1, 2, 3 of us.
Okay.
The potbelly stove is in.
Yeah, right here.
No, this is the kitchen stove.
Okay.
We have one like this.
Okay.
This was our Sunday go to meeting stove.
Sunday go to meeting stove.
It stayed in the living room.
Okay.
That's what we call it, Sunday go. It's like you have a living room for Sunday go to meeting when you dressed up and you have people come over and you entertain them. And so you had 2 stoves. We had a potbelly stove and we had this stove.
Okay.
This is the cooking stove.
Okay, this is good.
Potbelly stove.
Is that for heating?
Yes. Have you seen? You know what I mean when I pot?
It's been a while.
It's slim.
Mm-hmm. I think it's maybe right here.
It's like this, but better looking than that. Okay. Because it has a lot of chrome stuff on it.
Okay.
Potbelly because it gives the shape of a pot and the belly and all that. But we had one of those. Mm-hmm. That was the one that was in the living room.
Okay.
One of these. I said, which one was it? Because we had the porch.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my memory. Oh.
I was just about to ask you what does nostalgia look like for you?
This is what happens when you get younger. Give me a second.
No, take your time, brother.
The flue is still here. That's still there.
Yeah.
That's still real.
Mm-hmm.
That was in here. Yeah. No. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, they're set up right. That was over there, and this one's supposed to be in here.
Okay.
Things have changed, as you can see.
Yeah.
The house has a great deal of history to it.
Yeah. Run it by us.
Well,
as much as you
can remember?
Yeah.
We had our house back there.
Okay.
Now, our house was unique because we would always have to move it.
Wait a minute. You had to move the outhouse.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You have to move a outhouse. You have to. It fills up.
Okay. So it wasn't where you go get the pot and then
no. I'm being silly. I'm joking about it, but it's a serious maintenance problem.
Okay.
You know, like a toilet. It's a toilet.
Yeah. It's true.
Like so the idea is that you have the out, and you have to go outside in the dead of winter to go to the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
After a while, unless the pit is dug really, 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 really deep, it'll take a long time to fill up. But if it's not that deep, you have to move it.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is you fill it up with lime.
Okay.
That's what you put in there, lime, because lime eats up everything.
Yeah.
You fill it up with lime, dirt, close it up, take the house, and move it to another spot.
Is that where that square is? That
was when I'm.
That's where it was at.
No,
you having a flashback, brother?
Thanks to you. No, I live it every single day.
Yeah.
You know, it's magnificent how you had to embrace the times and the convenience that you had to live with. It was no big deal.
Yeah.
That's the way that's all you knew.
Right.
It's the way you live.
Most definitely.
And we didn't make any judgment on it, and we weren't depressed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we weren't a dysfunctional family.
Sure.
We were, the Waymon family we were really cool.
Yeah.
My mother was an ordained minister and had a reputation of Reverend Sister Waymon, obviously, in Tryon. Mm-hmm. And we were Reverend Sister Waymon's children. Mm-hmm. So children of, pillars of the community, you have a high expectation.
Absolutely.
And we had to live up to that.
Yeah.
We knew that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're still being rambunctious but you Reverend Sister Waymon's son. Oh. And that's the way. Yeah. And my father was an ordained minister at that church. That's the church. That's our church right there. You Reverend Brother Waymon. So it was always.
Yep.
That gave us a high standard.
Most definitely.
And all of us walked those shoes. We weren't trying to. We were just the children of that.
Yeah.
My mother had 8 children. Actually, I had a set of twins, twin brothers, Cal and Hal. Cal was my hero. Mm-hmm. Yeah, my brother here. And then there was Harold, who was born with polio. Okay. John Irvin, who went to San Quentin for a number of years. That's the oldest. Then there's Dorothy, Lucille, Eunice, and then Francis, and then me. Okay. And that's the order in which it happened. Yeah. So I was brought up, I was asked to speak. This is Women's History Month. Yep. And I was asked to speak at a church in, I think it is not Forest City. Rutherford. Yep. About women. And they wanted me to come to talk about my mother, because it's Women's History Month. Yeah. Well, the thing about that was that I was brought up by women, 4 sisters, and a mom. So I know a lot about women in that respect. I think a lot of brothers who have sisters, we can say that. Yeah, I have. And it's very interesting. The paradox is, because I'm supposed to do a lecture at Duke University, and I was going to say, it's interesting how we as black men are brought up by black women to be a man. Mm-hmm. The paradox of that is very strange, but at the same time, fathers teach daughters how to be women. That's right. It's strange, but that's the way nature works. Yeah. And so I give a lot of honor and gratitude and gratefulness to my sisters for teaching me the role of manhood in relationship to the opposite sex. And because we were taught not to hit women and all that kind of respect,
Now, let me ask you this. So, she was big sister, Eunice.
Yes.
Right.
One of them.
And so when you were going on the road with her,
Mm-hmm.
did the roles kind of reverse to where you became more protective?
Oh, I was
of
her protector. Oh, no. It wasn't assumption. No, I was there with her for that purpose.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Oh, no. And let me make it something very clear, too, because this has been in a lot of the press. Mm-hmm. I protected my sister, but she protected me also. Mm. And that I want clear.
What do you mean? So what does that look like for you?
See, the assumption is because I'm a man, a male, a brother, I'm going to protect my sister.
Right.
End of story.
Yeah.
But nobody looks at it from the woman's point of view. She's my oldest. She's one of my older sisters. She's looking after her baby brother.
Touche.
And she did. Mm-hmm. She didn't let anybody disrespect me. As I was her man. I became a manager later on, but I was her organist and her confidant, her best friend, her songwriter, her organist, her pianist. You know, I played klingers, I played all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But I made sure that no one got next to her. Mm-hmm. She didn't trust anyone. And I don't either, even to this day. It's very difficult.
Well, look, we were grateful that you allowed us to see
I'm not going to put you all on this. Okay.
Thank you.
You all. But you know what I mean, generically speaking.
Yeah, most definitely.
Because we live in a very terrible world, but a terrible industry of music. It attracts a lot of the vampires and people like that, as a lot of industry does.
Sure.
High profile industry. My relationship with her on the road was to look after her, to make sure that she took care of herself, that nobody got next to her that was not supposed to. It may sound like a bodyguard kind of thing. It was a brother protecting his sister.
Yeah, most definitely. And it evolved over time since being knee high, right? I mean,
and I learned, and the reason that I was with her was very easy to understand. She and I both had the same talent. So she knew that out of anybody in the family, I would understand her. Nina and I were the only two siblings that went on to establish a professional career in music. None of the other siblings are musicians in that sense. Nina and I are the only ones. Okay. Even though everybody else played, doesn't make you necessarily a musician in that sense. That's what I mean. But we took it to another level. Mm-hmm. And while she's doing that, I'm writing film scores and traveling and touring with my own band. But you don't know the story of how I got with my sister. So, okay, I was in Philadelphia. I went to college in one of the schools in Philadelphia. I was a welder. I became a welder, welding A-frames and struts in the cars and stuff. So she called me up one day and said, and it was like 9 o'clock in the morning, and she said, have you had something to eat yet? I said, no. She said, okay, I'm going to take you out to lunch. And she's calling me from New York. I said, okay. She said, I'll be there in about an hour and a half, an hour. Uh-huh. It was like 9 o'clock. What she did was she rented a helicopter at $500 an hour, flew down to Philadelphia. She left at 10 o'clock. She's taking me out to lunch at 11:15.
She's true to her word.
Yeah, so she took me out to lunch. She says, I want to talk to you about something. I said, okay. She said, would you come and be with me? Because I'm lonely. Mm-hmm. I need family. And I don't trust anybody, which I knew. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, okay. I reminded her of our father. She was very close to my dad. Mm-hmm. And I said, why? And she said, because you're the only one that loves, how did she put it? You're the only one that I trust with my talent, because you've been there and you and I share the same torch, you understand that kind of craziness. But also, I need to have family around me. I need to find out what's going on with the family. Mm-hmm. And I know you love me and you respect me. And so I looked at her and I said, okay, what about the other way around? Mm-hmm. I was a smart ass. And she smiled. She said, no. If there's anybody in the family that I trust with my inner soul and my music, it's you. Mm-hmm. Because, and the reason for that is very simple. I was always the one in the family that had dreams that could come true. Always came true. And they would always wake up the next morning and say, what did Sam dream about? They called me Sammy then, which I hate, but they called me Sam. What did you dream about? And I would tell them. It wouldn't come true, by the way, but it would come true eventually. I was not involved in any of the adult chaos and stuff that goes on in relationships. I was always the quiet one. I was always the one that people could come and talk to.
Sure.
And I cast no judgment, and I still don't today. Nothing bothers me about people who they are with. I don't care.
Yeah, yeah.
I really don't. The diversity of human beings is on them.
Yeah.
It's part of life. And everybody in the family understood that. If they had problems, I was a good listener. I could listen. Mm-hmm. And don't ask me a question if you don't want the truth. If you want the answer, that was me. I wear that crown proudly because that's given me a great gift of understanding human life and the paradox of being alive and all of that in life is that I don't judge anyone. I listen and I give the best advice that I could. Nina loved that.
Yeah.
Also, Nina did not like anybody around here who were yes people. She didn't like a yes man.
Yeah.
She disrespected you more. You would think it would be the other way around because a person who's got a lot of power. No.
She needed that, though. It sounds like she needed someone.
She told me. She said, I need you because you're telling me the truth.
Yeah.
You ain't going to let me push you around. I said, no, I'm not. I don't care who you are. Yeah. If you know who I am, if you want the best of my soul and my spirit, you got to let's be truthful and suck it up and deal with it. Adjust. Everything is not happiness and peach and apple pie all the time. Let's work it out. She said, that's why I want you with me.
How much of just that innate and spiritual understanding do you feel was shaped and molded by coming from these mountainous hills here?
Because we were humble.
Okay. And that's what this environment teaches.
Humbleness can give you a great deal of insulation from phoniness and fakery. If you're humble, you're not impressed by things that could sway your choice and your principles of things. Yeah. I remember when I think it was Miles Davis who told me one time. He said, "Sam, my best friend was Max Roach, by the way. My best friend is Max Roach and Miles Davis and Marvin Gaye. All these were my best friends."
Max Roach,
the drummer.
Where was Max from?
He taught at Antioch in Massachusetts.
Okay, and I had purchased I have a record. There's a space called Gibson's Mill in Kannapolis, it's in Kannapolis, North Carolina. Yeah. And I went and bought a bunch of vinyls, and there's something in there that I also purchased with Max Roach. Max
Roach. Well, you know who Max Roach is, so he's the consummate drummer, one of the world's best drummers.
Yeah.
Well, they all told me. So what was I starting to say? Oh, don't be impressed by anything, because if you're impressed, you become weak. You become weak by the allure of being impressed. I understand that. Mm-hmm. I don't say don't be appreciative of art or fine things or the stand of achievements of people. That's not what I'm saying. Because first impressions are lasting impressions. But I understand the dichotomy, if you will, of that phrase. Mm-hmm. And I forgot the question that you had asked, but
it was did all of that come from being
yes. Yeah. When you okay.
And let me say why I kind of sort of like to preface that. So we're talking about Appalachia.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of black folks in Appalachia, right? So there's a whole nother level of survivability, if you will, that you kind of have to have and to carry with you to allow people to know that, hey, we belong here just as much, right? So that's kind of where my thought process was with that.
When we were brought up here, you don't know much about my background here, but just during the time I was here, it was when proliferation of the KKK was here, White Citizens Council. Daughters of the American Revolution, all of it. And Tryon, I know too much about the history of Tryon. Nina can't stand Tryon. I couldn't either. I'm here now. I don't, all the interviews I've done since I've been here, everybody's trying to get me to say I love Tryon. I tell them straight up, I do not love Tryon. I like Tryon, but I don't love Tryon. Because when we were here, as a black person walking on one side of the street, we had to cross the street when we saw white people coming. We had to cross that so they could come by. Yeah. When I wanted to go into Owens Pharmacy, which is no longer here, and this is a common knowledge, it's all my articles, but I have to repeat it to you. Sure. One of the things that brought a lot of stress, all we wanted to do as black people was just go get a milkshake. That's all. Ice cream coming. We couldn't go in until the white people came out, and we wanted to sit at the counter. They had this long counter back in those days. Once they came out, then we were escorted into the last 4 or 5 seats at the end of the counter because we were black. The time that I had to correct the engagement that I had with the KKK, the 4 black KKK people who attacked this black girl on the railroad tracks, and I was coming across.
Hey there, this is Kyle. I wanted to issue a brief content warning. Samuel is about to recount a story which may be tough for some younger or more sensitive audiences to hear. Murph and I felt it is an important part of Samuel's story, and he wanted us to share it with the world, so we did decide to leave it in. If you or someone you're watching with may be sensitive to content revolving around violence, racism, or sexual assault, we recommend to fast forward 4 minutes. This is the only content warning for this video. We will now continue our conversation with Samuel Waymon.
Across the railroad track in the middle of the night, and I saw these 4 white figures. It was a full moon, and I heard her scream. I sneaked up on these guys. My father taught me if you see something that you can change, if you see something wrong, make it right. And I jumped on the back of one of them. Startled them. Now remember, I'm a thin guy. Then I was skinny. They called me string bean. But I was quick on my feet. If you wanted to whip my butt, you had first have to catch me. Sure. Okay. But I was good at that. And I jumped on the back of one of them, startled him. That allowed him to free his hand up off the girl. It was a black girl. She could have been only 12 or 13. They were trying to rape her on the railroad tracks. 4 of them. And the thing about the KKK, to their stupidity, is I knew each one of them. Sure. Of course we do. Yeah. I knew who the pharmacy. I knew the mayor. I recognized their voices. I'm sure they may have seen me around. But I jumped on the back of one of them, and he freed his arm from her. And she's screaming, and she's 12 years old, and it startled the other 2 guys, and before you know it, she was running. Okay. At that point, they focused on me. Yeah. Then they grabbed me. Okay. They grabbed me, and I'm skinny, I'm thin. It's 4 of them. There could have been, I guess I was, 13, 14? Yeah. And so these are 20-year-olds, and they're stronger than I am. They grabbed me, they spread eagle on the step, on the railroad track. One of the things that they wanted to do very nastily is to castrate me. So what they did was, they had me down like this, spread eagle. My arm is going, and all this was happening in real time. So everything's going like this, you know. But on the railroad track, there's debris, there's trash, there's all kind of stuff. Pipes, rocks, branches. And I'm going like this, and I'm trying to feel something. One of them says, okay, use the N-word. He says, now let's cut off his, you know what? Yeah. He took out a knife and proceeded to pull my pants down. And I said, oh no, that's not going to happen. You can beat me over the head, but you're not going to make me something that I'm not. Right. And all I know is I kept doing this with my right arm because my right arm is stronger than my left. It freed up, and there was something on the railroad track, and I can see it now. It was a pipe. And I swung and hit him in the head. I hit him so hard that he fell down. Wow. He never got back up again. That left the other 2 scrambling, trying to figure out what's going on. But at this point, I'm swinging, going all over the place. I heard her. She was gone. You know, I looked up, and then I heard her voice, and then it disappeared. So I just knew she was safe. But I never knew what happened to the one that I hit. I never saw him again, never heard of him again. I kept kicking and screaming. I finally got loose. After I hit him, I hit the other guy. And I don't want to mislead anybody.
Sure.
It was all happening so fast. I got loose somehow or another. Mm-hmm. I was beaten, I was bloody, etc. Yeah. I ran home and tried to sneak in the house. Of course, that's impossible when you have a mother around.
Absolutely.
And she saw me, and she was completely shocked by what I looked like.
Sure.
And I told her I got into a fight. I didn't tell her the truth. Mm-hmm. She told my dad, and the next day my dad walked up to me and said, okay, son, what happened? Put his hand on my shoulder. What happened? Mm-hmm. And I told him. Yeah. He said, good for you. That's what he said to me.
Good for you. Good for you now, too.
Yeah.
I'm saying it.
Yeah. He said, good for you.
Yeah.
What that did for my soul and my heart was it made me feel like my father's proud of me. I did something right.
Yeah.
I did what I was taught.
Sure.
And the main thing was I didn't think of myself. So to answer your question, the humbleness comes from not thinking of self. I'm selfless. Yeah. I'm not selfish. We never raised our voices to our mom. We never screamed at her. We disagreed with her, but our mother was extremely articulate, well-spoken, intelligent minister, very sophisticated, very elegant. My mother, when she said something, we listened. Mm-hmm. We differed from her, mm-hmm. but we didn't argue with her. Yeah. We never used a curse word, ever. Yeah. Nobody ever did that. Wouldn't dare. No. You wouldn't dare curse. I mean, you can feel this, your butt hurting from the...
Already stinging.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because the way she whipped us was she made us go out and get our own switch.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
that kind of...
definitely.
That's torture.
Oh, yeah.
And then if she wouldn't hit me, then she'd expect me to go to my room and pull out my pants and wait.
Yeah.
And it's the waiting that hurt more than anything.
The suspense.
The suspense, yes.
Yeah.
But that gives you a certain amount of... that grounds you, man.
Absolutely.
That gives you some... It keeps your foot flat-footed on the world. And one of the things that my mother used to say, one must be like a tree that's planted by the banks of the river. The tree that's planted by the banks of the river always had the deepest roots, she would say. And the tree that's planted inland won't grow as firm and as strong and as fast as the tree that's planted by the banks of the river. So keep your roots planted deeply and keep it fed by your good deeds, your soul, because we're nothing but trees. We're just everything that we do. We're growing. We're always growing.
Let me ask you, do you mind if we walk over by the church?
Oh, no.
And you kind of give us a feel of what the energy was like in the community?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. All right. So we talked earlier about your pops being a pastor.
Yes.
And your mother.
Yes.
And so obviously the church played a huge role in our communities, period.
Yes.
Especially right after emancipation as it relates to you having autonomy to be taught the word of God in a way that isn't influential from oppression, right? Yes. And so in all of black communities, of course, the church is like the hallmark, it's the place, right?
Yes.
And your father pastored this church.
And his name is on the cornerstone, yes.
Okay, yes. So what was the vibe around here? What was the energy here in this community? It was a predominantly black community, correct?
Oh, yes.
And what was this community called? Do you remember?
It wasn't called the East Side.
Okay.
It is now.
Yes.
I don't know if we had a name.
Okay.
I mean, there are two distinguishing factors about this side of town. Okay. It's called the high road and the low road.
Okay.
This is the high road because you can't see it, but over there is the low road. Mm-hmm. It's a lower road that takes you back into town.
Okay.
So the geographical layout of this place is pretty simple. The high road goes around, goes around, goes around, goes around, goes to about a cemetery and connects and makes a U-turn and goes down. That's all we knew. So This is the high road. Where we lived, the other house of the Waymons is over near the low road.
Okay.
That's all I can tell you.
Hey, that's good enough for me. And this is the church
Where I was baptized.
Okay.
My sister was baptized. My mother was a pastor here.
Okay.
So was my father.
Okay.
This is where I was called to preach here. Then I was ordained as a minister later on. Francis, Lucille, Eunice, and Dorothy, all of us were ordained, were baptized here
Wow.
in this church.
Wow. And you said your father's name is on the side.
Yes.
Is there a reason why your mom's wasn't? Was it just due to, was it?
Well, she had two other churches
Okay. Oh, wow.
in Forest City. She was
Okay.
Forest City, Weatherton, and Chestnut.
Okay. Okay.
Now, here it is. What you see, I came here about 2 months ago.
Uh-huh.
The problem is, they spelled my name
Oh,
wrong.
yeah, I see that.
And I went inside, and I went inside the church, and I said, they said, the prodigal son has returned. So I pulled the pastor over. I said, look, I don't want to make a big issue of this, but you all spelled my father's name wrong.
Yeah.
He said, where? I said, on the cornerstone. Really? I said, yeah. So I told him, I said, now you got to tear it all down and make sure you spell it correctly. But there's James Fox.
Yeah.
My sister's name was Frances Fox because she married one of the Fox's sons.
And the sister that played in The Heat of the Night,
That's her
Crystal
daughter.
Fox.
Crystal Fox.
She's from here too, though, right?
Crystal Fox is Frances's daughter.
Oh, okay. Okay.
She lives in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yes.
Crystal Fox. Yeah, I loved her on that show.
And my sister's name is Frances Waymon Fox.
Oh.
Frances Waymon Fox. Crystal Fox is her daughter, and Anita Fox is her. Anita Fox Williams is her daughter.
Everybody related. Everybody's related.
Yes.
Yeah. That's amazing, man.
So John Dewey, he pastored here for a long time.
Okay. And so, like, when we talk about just like even this church right here, was this church here?
Yes.
And you know, in the black community, you can have a church on every corner. You know how that goes, man.
And they all packed.
And they're all packed, right? And so, what are your thoughts of this? What do you remember about this community?
This hasn't changed.
The cemetery.
Cemeteries don't change because people are always dying. So that's the same. That house is old.
Okay.
As you can see,
Yes.
it's very old.
Yes.
I don't remember what it was. It might have been. I don't remember what it was, but that building is there. This church was always here,
Okay.
and we used to argue the two churches because who was going to park their cars here. Yes, there's a parking lot on the other side of the church, but there was competition between grabbing the parking space.
Sure.
Because of the two churches.
Now, I'm sure family members from. I mean, was there any,
No,
was it like a Hatfield and McCoy type situation?
No,
or?
we never belonged to that church.
No, I mean, like, did you ever have any other family members that church? Or everyone stayed loyal to?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
But the thing about Tryon that you don't know is that every other Sunday, and just talk about race relation. Every other Sunday, a black church would visit a white church, and a white church would visit a black church.
Really?
Every other Sunday. And the same thing with school. The black school would visit the white school, white school would visit the black school. That's how we got along this time.
Huh.
Excuse me.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
You're blowing up. What do you think?
Yeah. So you were saying that. So you were saying that there was this exchange of space, inviting the other.
No matter how racist this town was, or any town is, historically, you get kids with kids, the racism goes away. It's the parents who are bigots. So, on the other side of this, way on the other side of town, was the elementary school, Edmund Emory Elementary School. That school would go visit the Tryon High School every other weekend. Then the kids, we would all get on our bicycles and go home and deal with our racist parents.
Yeah.
But that's how we got along. The same thing with the churches.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
You caught me at a bad time.
It's okay. It's
But
okay.
that's how we got along.
Yeah.
You know.
Now that picture, is this the wall that picture that's around on the internet of your sister
of my
sitting?
sister, yes.
So this is the wall. So she was sitting on the lower end, or was it that?
I think it was. I think it was up there.
Okay, it was up there.
Yeah.
And is this a?
This is not
black
our cemetery.
You
No.
know, I've been to you all's. Yeah,
Good
Christian
Shepherd.
Tip. Yeah.
That's the cemetery.
Yeah, that's the cemetery.
That's where our family plot is.
Okay.
Not this.
Okay, got you.
I'm not quite sure. This is a combination of a number of different things.
Families and stuff.
Well, you know, when you're living in a small town, you don't really try to give cemeteries names and things. You don't
Yeah.
think about that.
So let me ask you, and you gave us the reason why you don't love Tryon, but what are the reasons why you like Tryon?
Because, and I can very easily tell you that when I'm away from Tryon, people ask me, what does Tryon look like? I said, Tryon is a beautiful little town. It's horse country.
Yeah.
What I remember about
So I saw a
Tryon
cow.
is the white paddocks over at the field, at the horse stable. White paddocks were everywhere. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Now the white paddocks have been painted black and brown. I don't like that.
Yeah.
It's very inconsistent, and neither do a lot of horse breeders down here. They don't like the fact that they're giving up something as traditional as white fences for convenience of painting it black so they don't have to paint it white every year. Yeah. I don't like that. I think but that's what I remember about Tryon. Yeah. Tryon, I like Tryon because it is extremely diverse with its population and the residents. I like Tryon because of the horses. I like Tryon because it's not jaded. It's not infiltrated with a lot of corruption like cities are.
Yeah.
It's isolated. It's quiet community. The sidewalks are pulled in at 8 o'clock at night. I mean, except on Friday nights, they put it in at 9 maybe, or 10. But that's why I like Tryon. Yeah. It's would I want to live? People keep asking me since I've been down here. Yeah. Sam, are you going to buy a house down here? The answer is no, not yet. Yeah. I couldn't live down here 24/7.
Sure.
Because of my career.
Yeah.
I would not mind owning a house here as a vacation.
Sure.
But I need
access to
airports.
and
yes, being in the music industry, I need that.
Got it.
Okay. But I don't hate Tryon.
Yeah.
I hate what it stood for back then.
Yeah.
But as is with all things, they do change.
This is true.
And I'm trying my best to adjust to that. It's been very difficult for me. I have to admit that. Robert, who you just met, he's my best friend here. He's a great writer, by the way. He's seen my inner soul. When I first came here, I was upset because I came here and I was greeted by all these 10,000 white people, but I couldn't see any black folks. I still don't know why we don't shop in Tryon. Yeah. They didn't want to come to the concert. Did you know that they don't like the Nina Simone statue? I didn't know that. When I first got here, I stayed at Robert's B&B. 5,000. I'm exaggerating.
Sure.
The first thing I wanted to know is, why don't I see any people of color? Yeah. I didn't see anybody. It didn't make sense to me. He took me down to Main Street, took me where Owens used to be, and I ran into one man named Robert. He owns the Mountain Soap shop on Main Street. He's black. Robert says, I want you to meet Robert. Robert, meet Robert. He says, Mr. Waymon. They call me doctor. I said, don't call me doctor. Just call me Samuel. I am the only black entrepreneur on Main Street. And I said, why? He said, because our people don't like to come out. I was brought up in this community. I came down a year and a half ago to perform on a concert tribute to my sister at Rogers Park. All the white people kept telling me, we're reaching out to the black community. They don't want to come. We're doing everything we possibly can. We don't understand it. Maybe you do. So I said, well, Chris, I want to go over to the cemetery. So Chris, you know Chris.
Yep, I know Chris.
He got in his convertible, that car. We stopped here. I went to the cemetery. On our way down the low road, there were some black men sitting on the porch and in their cars, drinking some beer and smoking. I said, Chris, stop. He said, what? I said, stop. I got to get out. So I got out of the car. And I walked over to these black guys sitting in the car. I said, hello, gentlemen. I said, hey, how you doing, sir? I said, do you know who I am? They said, we think you look like a Waymon. They had heard that I had been in town. I said, yes, I am. You're Reverend Sister Waymond's son. I'm such and such and such a person. I said, well, and you knew my father. Most of the people that I know now, I knew their parents. Yeah. Some of them I don't know. I said, yeah, because you used to live right up there. Yeah, you Reverend, and Reverend Waymon started
going in. Doing what we do.
Because most of this town knows everything more about me than I know about myself, by the way. It's amazing.
And I'm sure some of that's fabricated.
Yes. And I said, well, gentlemen, look, I'm giving a concert tomorrow night at Rogers Park in tribute to my sister. And I'd like for you all to come, because I hear that you all don't participate in the community here, and I'd like to know why. And they said, well, and we'll tell you why. I said, what? Because we don't like the idea that your sister statue's in town. And I said, why? Because we had nothing to do with it. They didn't consult us. Nope. There was no consultation. And I said, really? You don't participate because you have anger about that? Yeah. I said, is that why you don't shop in town? And now, you know, I'm old school, so I've been dealing with civil rights issues for a long time. If you know anything about me, you know that's what I do. I said, wait a minute. Are you telling me you don't participate in any celebration of her or just her music because you didn't have anything to do with making that decision to put that statue up? Well, what does that got to do with the fact that she's still black? She was born right here. She's still part of your history. That statue doesn't take away from her innate, the fact that she was born your color, and that she has your culture. And I hit him hard. I said, please don't blame white people for your failings because maybe there's not enough. Maybe, that's what I'm not trying to criticize you, gentlemen. But are you brave enough? Where's your courage? Why don't you stand up for something that you believe in as a race of people against what you think is an oppressive entity? If you had nothing to do with making that, have you made your wishes known to them? Have they reached out to you? He says, yes, they reached out to us. I said, well, what was your response? We ignored it. We just they didn't give me a really verbal answer. It was an excuse. And I said, well, okay, gentlemen, I'm in town to give a concert tomorrow night at Rogers Park. And I would like to know how many of you, and at that point another car drives up, it's another person now, so it's 6 of them. This is important. I said, how many of you are going to come out and see me perform tomorrow night? Because I hear that mostly only white people come to the park. I said, but now, don't tell me you're coming and you're not. Say, I'll try. I can understand that. I'll be there. 5 hands went up. One was smoking pot, the other drinking beer. And I said, yeah, right. I said, okay, gentlemen, I'll see you there tomorrow night. They said, we'll be there. I said, okay. I jumped in the car and left. We had the night of the concert, the place was packed. Usually the complaint that I've been getting for white people here is that black people don't participate. It's always a sea of white salt but no peppercorns. Okay. I'm sitting there waiting to go on. Mr. Waymon, if somebody wants to see you at the gate, I go, it's one of them. Dressed, shaved. I told you I was coming. I said, yeah, well, come on. You want something to drink? I don't have any money. I said, you don't need any money. What do you want? So I went up, they had a refreshment. Got him some wine, a bill. I went, sat back down. Mr. Waymon, somebody wants to see you. 2 more. That's 3. I go back to sit down. The other 2 come up. Let me tell you, all 5 of them showed up. Dressed look shaven, well spoken, and they all stood there and said, "We told you we were coming." I said, "Well, why did you come?" "Because you spoke to us, not at us." I got that. I know what that's like. That to them, that's deep. For them, that was a game changer.
And it is something that I feel historically we all have in common, regardless if you made it,
Yeah.
or if you haven't. We've all been spoken at,
Yeah.
being that we bear this beautiful skin color, and oftentimes we're not spoken to. And also, in conjunction with that, there's the lack of consideration sometimes. There's the lack of validation.
Most certainly.
All of those things.
Yeah.
And so I resonate with that story as well. And I'm glad that those brothers came. And I got to hear the rest of it now.
The indignity of being spoken at as opposed to is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And that, they made it very, I saw that.
Yeah.
They were saying, and they were very clear. You spoke to us, which means you respected us.
Yeah.
And that's all you were saying.
So, yeah.
And that's just that simple.
Yeah.
And as you just stated, the indignity and the insult that comes with being ignored, suppressed, oppressed, repressed, all of that is an insult to us and our culture and as a person. And they made it clear that that was not the case there. They came because they felt respected and welcomed and appreciated. And I let them know that. So I looked up, and Chris said to me, "Sam, you must have, I don't have to start calling you the ambassador." The place was packed, but there were more black people there than they had ever seen.
Yeah.
What that did for me was overwhelmingly satisfying, because that meant that I did something right. I got through to somebody.
That's right.
I was just so frustrated at the idea that I was back in my hometown and nobody seemed to give me an answer to some basic questions. I understand division. I understand the separation of morality and spirituality and principles about life and culture. I understand all that. I do. But I think there should be a common ground, and the best way that you can affect change is through communication and cohesiveness and together.
That's right.
Not separately, and definitely not violent.
Yeah.
I didn't go to jail with Martin Luther King and sing his funeral because I believed in violence. You do it through spoken language. If you can't go any further, if it ends there, then whatever the next move is what we experienced in the 60s, and it was almost on the cusp of a revolution. I think that all things should be dealt with first in a way that could be less violent. Try that first. You know where I'm going with it.
Most definitely.
Exchange of ideas, concepts, see how we can work it out. But do it respectfully. And if you get a lot of shenanigans and no-gooders and no good people in the middle of that crowd who don't want to behave, then you expel them, you get rid of them. But there is no peace without war, and there's no war without peace. So they do go hand in hand.
Yeah.
You know, we don't, our culture never got anywhere by being nice and kind at the sitting table.
Meekness never worked for us.
It never worked.
Yeah.
No, and I employ people to try communicating through the spoken language first. If that doesn't work, then you have to go to another option. You know, because at this point, this country's on the verge of that. So much division. That's why I didn't accept that when I came here. Black people are not going to come over here and communicate and socialize with the white people. And I told them I don't believe that. Maybe I said the thing is I don't think you all know how to relate to us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's just huge cultural differences that I feel is there because questions aren't asked. You can't get to know You can't get to know and become familiar with something that you aren't inquisitive about and that you aren't willing to accept, right, as being another person's truth.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to do such when you have been fixated on an ethnic group, a religious group, etc., a certain way because your grandparents told you, or your mama told you, or the education system told you, based on based on the misinformation. And so I'm glad that transpired and that those brothers came out.
And what you just said is the common denominator for the equation of confusion. Now it has been.
Man. We're going through it now.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's very clear what you just stated.
Yeah.
Most people can't relate to other people's cultures.
No.
And yet they're being in a position to make decisions for them.
Church.
The white people here don't know how to relate to people of color because they can't relate to it. They can't. Yeah. And I'm being very general.
Yeah, so
I'm being very general. I'm not castigating all white people. I'm not saying that.
Sure.
I'm just saying, as you just stated, you have to have some kind of relativity. There has to be some kind of understanding, some form of empathy. And when I came down here, all I hear was, I've tried everything I did. I said, well, that's because you don't know how to speak to us. And as you just stated, my dear friend, you said, asking the questions, but they don't know how to ask the right questions. If you ask the right questions, you'll get the right answers.
There you go.
But the key is knowing which question to ask. They don't know how they relate to us.
No, yeah.
And that's being general because there are a lot of very successful black people here.
Sure.
We're very successful in this community.
Yeah.
As in every community. Mm-hmm. You just don't know who is what. Mm-hmm. It's just our culture.
And then also everyone's level of what success looks like is always going to be.
Yes, sir.
For me, it could be a cabin living up here and not having to deal with horns and sirens and everything else, and I may be in what other people may deem a little shanty or a shack or just not enough square feet versus someone that's somewhere else that's like living on a lake and have a 4,000 square foot home.
Yes.
But for me, that would be success because I've acquired what I need to acquire to resemble what I want my piece to look like versus someone else looking at things from a more materialistic type things. Yes. But there's no greater wealth than what intrinsically feeds and fuels you on a daily basis to say, I got to get up and do it again.
That's your soul. That's it. That's the soul. And you're right. It all, right. It's perspective.
It's perspective.